A martini, shaken, not stirred.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
I'm your #1 fan.
And here we go.
Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to the last episode of 2020. Welcome to another episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined here alongside with Zach.
What's going on, guys?
And the Edward.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Oh,
Hey, what's up,
Eduardo has joined us here. Did you get enough tamales there, Eduardo?
Man, about a whole plateful.
Man, this is the last episode of 2020, and this is just a small joke, but the review today would be the way 2020 ended. You're so ready for the year, and it just disappoints you.
Basically, that's a
Hold on,
teaser for the review.
What? What the fuck's going on? What's disappointing?
How's everyone doing? Did you guys have a good holiday?
Yeah,
I did. Yes.
Yeah. A very good Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I hope it was good. Guys, last week's episode was our most downloaded episode in the history of this podcast, which completely shocked the hell out of me because every single Christmas time, whether it be Christmas week or New Year's and Christmas, our episode kind of just slows a little bit because of nobody's listening. A lot of people are doing stuff, but most downloaded episode in podcast history. Over 5,000 downloads. How are you guys, how do you guys feel about that?
I think that's really awesome. Honestly, I appreciate every one of you taking your time out of your day, however long, whenever, your week, whatever it is, to be interested in something we have to say and talk about. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, I can't say thank you more.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that, we're just three hillbillies in Oklahoma just reviewing films and that entertains you, at least we're doing something right.
Something. But guys, go back and listen if you haven't already. Download the episode. Give us a like or subscription to that Spotify, Anchor, and Podbean account. It helps us get found a lot easier and a lot faster. So give us a thumbs up. You can listen to last week's episode on Spotify, Podbean, or Anchor. We interviewed Nicholas Rice. We also talked about the 20th anniversary of Jim Carrey's Grinch. So go back in the archives and listen to all of our episodes. So, yeah. And you can also hit us up on the social media. You guys can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/movie reels, REELZ 405, or just Facebook search the Cine-Men Movie Podcast and we pop right up. You guys can also find us on Instagram. You can see all of the recent watches on Instagram. Just one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Also, you have all of our links there that do go to the Spotify, Anchor, and Podbean. Ed, we also have a YouTube channel. Go ahead and tell everybody how they can find that YouTube.
So basically, you go to that Facebook page, go to facebook.com/movie reels 405. You hit that learn more button. That learn more button transports you over to the YouTube channel. That YouTube channel, of course, has that like, share, comment, subscribe button. It also has a notification button. And it also has a dislike button. And that's fine if you hit any one of the 5, 6, whatever it is. But go ahead and try to subscribe to us, please. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Negative, positive, whatever it is. If you want to call one of us out specifically to jump off a building, or I don't fucking know, whatever you want. I mean, we'll try and achieve the impossible for you.
We also have a Twitter, so go check us out on Twitter It's at Cine-Men405. So check that out. We also do giveaways on the Instagram page, the Twitter, and the Facebook page. We just got done giving away a bunch of stuff over the holiday weekend. Got a lot more to be given away soon, so check it out. But Zach, I think you have 4 things that we probably didn't know about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll read off a couple of these. The symbol of Nuclear Man from Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, can be seen on the floor of the mall. Let's see. As first reported from Variety, actress Gal Gadot was paid $10 million for this film, 33 times more than what she made on the first film.
Damn.
The role of Cheetah was first offered to Emma Stone, but she declined, which ultimately went to Kristen Wiig.
Oh, could you have imagined Emma Stone in this movie?
Yeah, I think she would have been really good.
She turned it down, though?
Yeah. Lily Aspel, who plays young Diana, performed all the required physical stunt work herself at the age of 12 because it was deemed that she did a better job than her actual stunt doubles.
Holy shit.
That is your top 4 things you didn't know about Wonder Woman 1984.
Despite the challenge, all you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance.
Alright guys, don't forget that this episode and all of our other episodes is brought to you by Rodeo Cinema, located at 2221 Exchange Avenue right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It's a non-profit art house cinema offering first-run, independent, foreign films, and documentary films. You can go see Wonder Woman right now at Rodeo Cinema. You can go see it. They have it playing Monday, 4:30 and 7:30. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 29th, 4:30 and 7:30. Wednesday, December the 30th. Thursday, December the 31st. So go check it out. They also have the Ernest Film Club Wednesday, December the 30th. And then they're playing A Christmas Carol Thursday, December the 31st. So go check them out. Rodeo Cinema. It's the official movie theater of the Cine-Men movie podcast.
And just say whatever, cause there is no way you're around it. Everyone.
So guys, let's get ready to get into some recent watches. Ed, have you gotten into anything recently?
No, my week has been a bit hectic, honestly. I've watched the first episode of the new Letterkenny season.
The very first episode of the new season?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It's a little slower pace so far than the others, but it definitely is keeping in its hilarity as well as its usual themes. A little bit of new stuff. They're introducing a lot of new characters. Writing is alright. It's not too much better or any better really than any other season. It's just kind of reusing a couple things so far in the first episode. So I gotta say I'm looking forward to the rest.
How long was the first episode of the new season?
28 minutes and some odd seconds.
Okay, so it's only about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
How can I put this? Do they all like go together, right? Like,
yeah. Basically, so
it's just like one big sitcom, right?
Basically, yeah. In this one, literally, it's a chronological thing.
And then it's on Hulu, right?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Is it all released on one day, or do they release it once a week?
No, it's all smack dab on one day.
Oh, okay.
So all 7 episodes of the 9th season are out right now. The first episode picks up basically supposedly 15 minutes to half hour after the 8th season wrapped up.
So you can try to binge all that this week?
Probably, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, maybe tonight. I don't know.
Zach, what have you gotten yourself into? Anything fun that you'd want to talk about?
Yeah, I got a couple things. I checked out Irresistible, the Jon Stewart political comedy with Steve Carell and Rose Byrne.
How was that?
Pretty good. I liked it. I didn't think I was going to. For some reason, I don't really find Jon Stewart funny, but I actually kind of enjoyed this.
He's the one that he directed that.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it a few months ago. I thought it was pretty well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for what it is. Totally Under Control, which is it's a documentary about COVID and kind of like how the situation could have been not so much avoided, but probably taken on a better way. The Postcard Killings with Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Did you like that?
It was alright. Didn't like Jeffrey Dean Morgan was definitely the best part of the movie.
And I've picked up a lot of these smaller independent films that didn't have a big release, and probably because of COVID. And that's another one that I picked up. And like so far, a lot of the movies that I really didn't hear about that went straight to maybe Blu-ray. So far, a lot of those have been better than the big mainstream ones.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I actually saw this one and Totally Under Control. Those are on Hulu right now. A California Christmas, which is a new Netflix movie that they put out. The Holiday, which I think we talked about maybe a couple weeks ago with Cameron Diaz and Jack Black.
Oh yeah.
Never seen it. I always kind of pick a movie for Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. New Christmas movie I haven't seen. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why it needs to be 2 hours and like 18 minutes, but overall I enjoyed it. Obviously Wonder Woman 84. I rewatched the first Wonder Woman. The Midnight Sky with George Clooney on Netflix. I thought that was
that good?
I thought that was really well done. It's gotten a lot of shit reviews, but I liked it. It kind of felt like The Revenant a little bit, just the way it was filmed. And then my big thing I wanted to recommend everybody is Soul on Disney Plus. The new Pixar film. Really, really enjoyed it.
That's gonna get ready to get into my recent watches, but I'm gonna do this on mic. And I know a lot of you guys out there. This is just a little something, but I'm gonna present you guys with just a little thanks over the mic. So this one is for Ed, Zach.
Oh shit.
This one is for you. It's not much,
Thank
but
you.
I want you guys to open it. And there's one certain movie in there that you guys need to pop it open and let everybody know what's in there.
Oh,
so
shit.
we're gonna do this live and on mic. So go ahead and rip it into it. Don't worry about breaking it.
Oh, that's cool.
There's movies and things in there. Yeah. So let's go ahead and see what's in there.
So a book by J.K. Rowling called The Ichabod, the new movie.
And if you guys both notice, you both have the same movie. Why don't you let everybody know what fucking movie you got?
A Christmas Story.
You gotta shoot your eye out, kid.
We got so many flagged emails about you guys not seeing A Christmas Story that I had to make sure that it was gifted up, wrapped, and you guys got A Christmas Story.
So a Christmas Story, Brawler. Never actually heard of this one. Looks kind of cool though.
So
I have to check that out.
And I know, Zach, you usually go through Christmas movies and you watch one that you usually don't watch.
So this will be next year's Christmas Story. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That's actually pretty good. I haven't seen that in a while.
And then Master. So that's
a kung fu guy. So he got some kung fu shit.
Hey.
But the biggest one is A Christmas Story. And just to let you guys know, now you cannot say that you have not seen A Christmas Story.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I can add that to my college.
Speaking of A Christmas Story, I'll go ahead and run through my my recent watches. I had a lot of time to myself, obviously, so I went through. I'm going to rapid fire through these. Surviving Christmas, Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, the 2018 Grinch, Holiday Inn, Krampus, Miracle on 34th Street, A Christmas Carol, It's a Wonderful Life, Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story. I saw Wonder Woman 1984 on HBO Max and in theaters. The War with Grandpa with Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
That got really, really bad reviews, but I want to let everybody know that it's actually pretty funny. I laughed more during this movie than I think I did most of any movie that I watched in 2020.
damn.
And I don't know, it's funny. It's got Uma Thurman is in it. Also, Christopher Walken is in it, and Rob Riggle.
Christopher Walken.
Um,
That's my best at that impression.
but
I
it's
can't do
actually
it.
really, really funny, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Then I rewatched The Godfather, and Zach, I want to talk to you guys for a little bit about. I started a few weeks ago because Zach recommended it, so I watched the movies from CNN that's on HBO Max, and I really, really think that, I don't know about you guys, but I think that show is kind of like, where has it been my whole life?
I know, right?
Yeah. How did you find out about it? Did you watch it live on CNN or did you find it on HBO Max?
No, I saw the promo for it. I was like, oh shit, that's like totally like something that I would want to watch. And then like it aired, and I don't have cable, so I didn't have CNN, so I couldn't watch it. And then when HBO Max hit, they said that a lot of their documentaries are on there, and searched it, and sure enough, it was on there. I was like, oh hell yeah! And it's just so like, probably I know for you, Johnny,
I want
you're,
to talk.
you're,
Yeah, I want to talk about it.
you're addicted to it. It's just like every single movie that they mention, you really want to watch.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy.
Are you surprised? I know it's only an hour and 25 minutes per episode, but I really felt like maybe the Golden Age should have had 2 episodes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They kind of
There's some movies they didn't spend a lot of time on,
no.
and I don't know if it's because of the day and age, like you know what I'm talking about, like
Yeah.
maybe Gone with the Wind they barely touched on, and I think it's because of some of the bad historical racial issues that are involved.
Right.
Um,
But I think you could have easily done an entire, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't do, an entire episode on the silent era itself,
yeah,
and then do the golden age of Hollywood.
yeah.
And then you would have had 8 episodes. So
I almost feel like it should have been a good solid 10 episodes, but every time one ended, I was almost a little heartbroken because I'm like, I want more every
Yeah.
single episode.
Where are you at now?
I finished it.
Oh, you finished it?
I got
Okay.
all the way to the 2000s. I kind of wish the 2000s was kind of all smushed in from 2000s to 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wish there was another episode from 2010 to 2019,
Yeah, that's fair.
but they didn't do that. So,
Yeah.
and they barely touched on some of the big Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm kind of
I'm surprised. I mean, they did talk about the original Star Wars, but when we get to the 2000s, I'm really surprised they didn't talk about Force Awakens.
they didn't talk about Return of the Jedi. They didn't
No.
talk about really any of the 90s ones or the prequels.
They talked about Empire for sure.
Yeah, and the
So-
original one. But guys, if you haven't, I highly recommend going to HBO Max. I gave out 2 copies of a 14-day free trial for HBO Max over the weekend. So if anybody won that, highly recommend you guys going out and checking out that documentary on HBO Max because it's also a good documentary for a lot of people who maybe don't have a lot of those movies and you want to kind of get maybe a quick rundown. It's a perfect way to get a quick rundown of what some of the important movies were
Mm-hmm.
20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's just a good like history lesson.
Yeah.
If you really want,
yeah, I highly recommend it. And then I checked out Soul, guys. I checked out Soul today, and I'm kind of torn in between what should we start 2021 off with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be a good way for the Tenet to start off with 2021. I saw Soul today, and I was completely glued. I enjoyed every single scene. The music was great. I really, and Harkins is showing this also in it's one of the only theaters besides Rodeo Cinema that's open here in Oklahoma, and they're showing it in the theater, and I think that'd be a fun
Nice.
movie to go check out in the theater as well.
Yeah.
So don't forget, we do have some movies coming up, guys.
Why don't you announce what we're doing for January?
January is going to be so next week we are going to talk the Tenet. Monday, January the 4th. Monday, January the 11th is going to be Soul. And then we're going to keep it in the Disney family. Monday, January 18th with Mulan, the live action version from 2020. And then we're going to end January with The King of Staten Island. Monday, January the 25th, right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So I think that's a fun way to start off 2020. You have pretty much one of the main big movies of 2020 with Tenet. You had a big remake with Mulan that more people liked than hated, I think. You have Soul with probably the best animation movie of 2020. And then King of Staten Island, to me, is the best comedy of 2020. I think. That's my opinion. And then February, guys, don't forget, I can already announce February is going to be a fun month as well. February the 4th is going to be our best of 2020 episode. So we have literally 5 weeks to watch as many 2020 movies as we can before our top 5 movies of 2020. Who gets the Dundee of best movie? And then we have Golden Globe nominations probably that we can announce next week or the week after, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's the second week of January that they announce
Yeah.
Golden Globes.
It's funny because the Golden Globes isn't happening until the end of February, and the Oscars got pushed back to April.
Which I
is
think
gonna
is
be weird.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
we're going to talk about it for sure in 2 weeks. But would you say it's okay to give Soul Best Animation Film of the Year already?
Just go ahead and do it.
You think so?
Yeah, no one's gonna be mad about it. Just go ahead and do it.
But yeah, but we're still kind of in the holiday spirit, guys. So those are our recent watches. You can check out all my recent watches on the Instagram page. One word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. But for right now, we are getting ready. We're still in the holiday spirit, so we're going to talk our top 5 Christmas songs. All right, guys, we are still in the festive spirit, so this week we're talking about our top 5 Christmas songs. I think this is a pretty fun list. It's something that we don't really talk a lot about here on the podcast yet, but this is definitely going to be fun. See what everybody has. So, does anybody have any honorable mentions?
I got one.
Ed? Go ahead, Zach.
The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole. Feels like a very homey song, and it feels very like you just want to cuddle up with some hot chocolate and sit in front of a fire.
Oh.
Hot chocolate.
I just have one as well, and it's going to be "Where Are You Christmas" from Faith Hill.
Oh yeah.
We talked about the Grinch last week, so I'm like, you know what? It's really Christmassy whenever you hear that song. But I'm a big cheese ball. I really like emotional Christmas songs, and that one kind of gets me sometimes. So that's my honorable mention.
5.
All right, Ed, you want to go first? What do you have? What's your number 5 on Christmas songs of all time?
So I was kind of, I know it seemed like I'm ripping you off.
No.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of inspired by that last week, and I was just like, that was actually a nice rendition of Where Are You Christmas. Like, honestly, Faith Hill has such a nice voice, and just the tone she carries and everything like that, and how she presents the song.
And it's not too often that you get an original Christmas song.
No.
Some of them are coming up nowadays, but like that one just stuck. 20 years later, it's now a Christmas classic. So
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that old. Tons of Christmas songs are 4 or 5 times older than that one, easily. So yeah, but that, I find it to be a really cool song. So.
Number 5 for me is going to be one that kind of like really just started clicking on me this year, so that's why it's number 5. But it's going to be "Believe" by Josh Groban from Polar Express. I really never sat and listened to the lyrics until this year, and I gotta say, every time a stroke here, sorry. But I rewatched Polar Express probably about a month ago, and ever since I saw that movie, it's just been like, I've seen it before, but for some reason it really clicked this year differently for me. But ever since I rewatched it a month ago, it has just been like, that song is just, I've played it once or twice a week now. And it's just like, if you sit and listen to the lyrics, it really is a good Christmas song. So number 5 for me is going to be Josh Groban's "Believe." Zach, what about you?
My number 5 is going to be, like you said, Ed, a lot of Christmas songs that people know and love are really old. This one in particular, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas from Bing Crosby. That one is always, for me, anytime that song comes on about early November, like I can start getting ready for Christmas. It just feels like a very good opener for the season. So.
4.
Ed, what do you have? What's your number 4?
So I'm gonna have to go with a song from 1960, a little thing that a few people might know, called "Jingle Bells." I've actually performed this as well, so I mean, it's kind of like I used
like
to know
the regular
this.
Jingle Bells.
Yeah,
Jingle Bells.
Yeah. But yeah, you used to perform it back when I played the violin years ago. But I'd like to get into that again. But yeah, it always was one of those ones where it wasn't hard to learn, but it was hard to keep on the correct tempo and just have.
That's a classic
yeah,
too.
Yeah, but yeah, it was always kind of an easy going song. But yeah, that's always been one of my slight favorites, to be honest.
Number 4 for me is going to be TSO's "Christmas Eve." They have a lot of really, really great songs, but this one in particular is the one that just really, it's kind of a dark Christmas song to start off with, and then it blazes out really, really loud. If you guys have never seen them live, I highly recommend it. It's one of those concerts that just shakes the entire arena. And it's super expensive, but I mean, I don't know. Have any of you guys went and seen them?
No.
It's really, really worth the ticket. Even if you're sitting all the way up in the nosebleeds, you can feel your seat just vibrate. So I know Ed's big on that. So, but that's my number 4 is TSO's Christmas Eve.
I mean,
Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So,
they're always
Zach,
really cool.
what about you? What do you got number 4?
Number 4 is Andy Williams. It's the most wonderful time of the year. For me, I'm sure I've heard this song before this, but like I remember seeing Surviving Christmas, which was one of your recent watches, and that's how the movie opens up, and it's just like, yeah, that's like anytime it puts you in a good mood, but
isn't that how Krampus? Have you seen Krampus?
Yeah,
how that opens up?
That's like the perfect Christmas opening music.
It's funny.
It just it gets you excited, and it also like reminds you of like, oh fuck, we got to do like 15 different things before Christmas Day. So.
Yeah. Ed, what do you have at number 3?
I'm not really a huge fan of his, which will probably piss a few people off. I know you might be kind of like, what the fuck? Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 made a little song called I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus years ago. I've always got to say, it's not that I just consider that a Christmas song. Right. But I mean, it's always been kind of a nice, funny, kind of loose Christmas song, if you will.
My favorite part about the Jacksons doing that is when Michael is convincing everybody that he really did see. To me, that's why that one stands out from all the rest.
Yeah, that is always a fun thing, the little skits.
Yeah. My number 3 is going to be kind of cliche, but it's All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey. That is just the video, the sound. To me, it's what makes Christmas. It's a fun song, and like it's probably our generation's Christmas, one of our Christmas classics. Considered, maybe our parents had one from the 80s or 70s, or grandparents had one from the 40s or 30s or 50s. So to me, I feel like that's one of my ultimate Christmas renditions. So Zach, what do you have at number 3?
Number 3 for me is all-time classic, and especially since there's literally a whole, I guess you can call it a mini movie or an episode of television, Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives. Plays wonderfully with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and anything really, all the Burl Ives songs are just classic in general, whether it be that one, him singing Rudolph, Silver and Gold.
I like Silver and Gold.
It's kind of ridiculous, but it's just a hysterical song. It's just those are, anytime you get to watch Rudolph on television, it pulls at your heartstrings. So
I do have some. Before we're going to take like a small little break here before we get into our top 2, but I kind of felt a little bad this year because I didn't get to talk about it in recent watches, but I didn't get to watch Elf this year. I didn't get to watch Charlie Brown's Christmas this year.
I did watch that. I forgot about that.
And I didn't get to watch any of the other Christmas classics this year like I normally do. And it's just, I had a lot of stuff going on. And then Christmas Eve, just like, I spent a little bit more time with family this year than I normally do. Mm-hmm. And it was like, they're right there. I can literally watch them. But who wants to watch Christmas movies on the fucking 28th?
Nobody.
Exactly. But yeah, that's just a little something I want to get off my chest. Ed, what do you have at number 2?
Number 2 goes back to an old movie. Basically, Christmas Time is Here by Charlie. It's a Charlie Brown Christmas. Always think that it's kind of just I don't know. It's a strange song to a point.
Do you like the instrumental version or like the words?
Both, but the instrumental is kind of the thing that to me makes it stand out, because
it works better.
It kind of is like happy, but at the same time kind of slow, and focused, I guess you can say. Not really sad, but more of a like, okay, we're doing this,
It's
kind of thing.
it's very calm. While a lot of other Christmas songs are like, it's Christmas time.
Yeah, like
You know?
slow down, motherfucker. We're going hard. Like, damn, okay, I'm sorry, kind of thing. So yeah, Christmas time is here.
My number 2 is going to be Jingle Bell Rock, but it's going to be the version by Bobby Helms. It's in a lot of your favorite Christmas classic movies, but to me, it's just and my 1 and 2 can flip at any time, but to me, that one solidifies if you're out Christmas shopping or if you're out doing stuff. When that song hits, you know that Christmas is coming. So, number 2 for me is Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms. Zach, what do you have at number 2?
I would agree. My number 1 and 2 could really be switched depending on what you ask me.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is Christmas Savaro 1224 by Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Probably their most famous song, if you want to say. There's just something
I
interesting.
think that was my number 3, or that was my number 4.
Is that your number 4 as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Chris. I couldn't pronounce the other one, the other words, but I pronounced Christmas Eve. So.
Yeah, that music video is also really cool.
Mhm.
It's very like 80ish, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But I've always, like you said, you've seen them in concert, and you said it just vibrates all the way through the entire building.
Probably one of the, as far as like any concert that you go to, probably the best setup that you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm. And you never, at least before I listened to the song, I never would thought in a million years like hard rock and Christmas music would jive well together, but it really does.
Their big break was Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
1992. Ed, what do you have? What's your favorite Christmas song of all time?
So it's a little weird, but you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I for some reason I always like the deep tone of that voice, just the playfulness of it, honestly, because it's not like a lot of different songs, and I'm not really the hardcore pop kind of guy in either way with my daily music. But I mean, the tone of his voice, the way he just puts, how he uses his words to put out everything, basically. Damn, okay. Playing me off, huh? But yeah, that song always is one of the ones that's my favorite to hear around Christmas time, just because that just kind of, I don't know, it's something about that song that just reminds me that, hey, yeah, it's Christmas time,
You're talking about the original one, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing that kind of. I mean, I'm going to get in my number 1, but that is the one thing about Christmas music is everybody has a version.
Mhm.
There's like 10 different kinds of one song. So there. I mean, and for the most part, all the ones that I've announced there's probably. I think my top 2 are just really ones that a lot of people have done. Faith Hill, I think she's the one and only one that's done that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
TSO, nobody matches them.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Groban's Believe,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. Those are all original Christmas music, Christmas songs that I don't think anybody's really done before or after.
All I Want for Christmas
Is what a retail worker hates.
Yeah, but I mean, is that her cover of it, or is it someone else has someone else done that version? That song?
I've never heard it like that, or I've never heard it. All I Want for Christmas is You.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about? Maybe you're talking about the Santa Baby.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe.
But my number 1 is going to be Zach. You had it in yours. It's Beginning to Look Like Christmas, but by Johnny Mathis. This one really got introduced to me during Home Alone 2 when he walks out to the limo with the cheese pizza. That's the one that and this is the reason why it's kind of like clicked on me and hung on to me ever since then. But there's nothing like going Christmas shopping and starting with that song, because literally everything is really getting ready to look like Christmas. Lights, decorations everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my number 1. It's Beginning to Look like a lot like Christmas by Johnny Mathis. Zach, what about you?
Is that one hippopotamus for Christmas?
No, actually,
I was about to say that'd be badass if I guessed it.
No, my number one, you've already mentioned Johnny, so we're kind of doing like a flip, if you will. Number one for me is Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is that's just like classic Christmas. If there's only like one song I want to hear during the season, it's that. And it's just, it just feels vintage, and it feels like it just completes the season, if you will. So, yeah, that's my number one.
Don't forget, guys, this episode is brought to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, located at 2301 Southwest 59th Street, right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You can get all their good stuff to go. You can also dine in. Don't forget, they have weekday specials Monday through Friday, starting at $6.99. Tacos, burritos, taco salads, tamales, and burritos. Every year we have a big celebration there for the holidays and for Christmas dinner. So don't forget to do the same thing this New Year's. Make sure you spend your holidays with San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, the official restaurant of the Cine-Men movie podcast.
Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet.
All right, guys, today we are talking all about Wonder Woman 1984. It is the sequel to 2017's Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, starring Gal Gadot, Pedro Pascal, and Kristen Wiig, along with Chris Pine. Rotten Tomatoes, guys, has it at 65%, while IMDb has it at a 5.9, and the Metascore right now sits at 59%. It did have a December 25th, 2020 release just a few days ago. While the budget sits at $200 million, the box office right now is at $40 million over the Christmas weekend. Guys, this is one of the most anticipated films of the year, and we're going to talk about it right here. We're going to break it down, and we're going to see what went wrong or what went
right.
Man,
there you go.
2 strokes in an
Two
episode.
strokes. That's 2020 for you. But it's hard to believe just next week we're going to be in 2021. So, Zach, I'm going to start with you. Again, it's only been out for a few days, so if you only seen it the one time, we'll talk about it. How was the first was it first only watch, or how was it for you?
Yeah, it was my only watch.
So since it was everybody's pretty much only watch, I'm going to ask, instead of explaining, first and second review or watch, in one word, describe Wonder Woman 1984.
Exhilarating.
Thank you, Zach. Zach, what about you?
Disappointing.
Disappointing. For me, it's going to be, I don't want to use the word disappointing because I liked a little bit of it, but I am going to probably say, I'm probably going to have to say that it's just, it felt off. It didn't feel like a Wonder Woman sequel like I wanted it to. There's a lot of good things about it, but I also did find out a lot of bad things about it. So, like I said, directed by Patty Jenkins. Everybody's returning almost pretty much, except you do have 2 new additions with, Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig. I'm going to say I do appreciate the opening. And guys, if you have not seen Wonder Woman yet,
Spoilers ahead.
Yeah, we're at the 40-minute mark of this episode, so take a pause and go to HBO Max, go to your local theater, check this movie out, and let us know what you think about the movie. And believe me, I have a lot of reviews, and I have a lot of people reaching out to me. So I'm going to read. We have a lot of emails to go through, so we're going to go through a lot of Facebook comments, Instagram, Twitter. Everybody's been blowing us up about this movie, so we're gonna talk about it right now.
And take it a step forward. Go check it out with our sponsor, Rodeo Cinema.
Yeah, go check them out. If you're listening to this live on Monday, go check it out. Rodeo Cinema is playing it all week long, and you won't regret it. You got local beer, fresh popcorn, and all the candy that you can imagine. So go check it out at Rodeo Cinema. I honestly like the opening. You didn't get a lot of young Wonder Woman in action in the first one.
Mm.
So I really do like the way this one opens up.
Yeah, that's one of the high points of the movie for me. The Amazonian Olympics, as I called them. I thought that was a really cool sequence to open the film.
Ed, what about you? Did you like the opening sequences?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of an Olympic Games as well as like Ninja Warrior type. Because I mean, honestly, I thought it was really cool how you had to hit the different targets at different segments and all that. She was basically competing and outdoing the adults for a long period of time. And then one little not paying attention and why she lost was a fucking tree.
Yeah.
That was kind of like in March. We all fucking looked back and got smacked in the face.
But also, like, I'm going to start off with a negative, or that was a positive. I did like that. So there's one positive is the opening scene of the movie. But you know what? I thinking that Hans Zimmer was going to come in and do the score for this movie, I was a little excited. I'm like, okay, he's doing another DC film. All his DC scores have been great. Yep. I didn't like this one. I didn't like the different tone of the score compared to the first one. I thought the first score for the film was unbelievable, and that's what I played at the beginning of this review was Rupert Gregson Williams. He did the first original score for the first film, and I absolutely loved it. But I didn't like Hans Zimmer's score for this one.
Yeah.
What about you?
It wasn't. I would agree to a certain extent. I just feel like this one just wasn't as memorable as the first movie, and even what he's done with other directors like Nolan and even Zack Snyder for the Man of Steel and stuff. So.
Ed, does the scores mean anything to you?
I mean, of course, the music is going to make the movie more exciting and all that. It does mean, I feel like it means a bit more to a horror film than a film like this, because this is action. This is, love, tragedy, action, all kinds of different emotions wrapped up. But I do feel like it does add a great deal into it, as well as it doesn't really take much too far away from it. I personally don't think it does. So I didn't really have much of a problem at all with it. It might not have been music placed in the correct spot or the best spot it could have been, but I definitely felt like it was at least
it didn't bother
beneficial to a point. Yeah,
it wasn't a sore thumb.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I do think that the cinematography in this movie is a little bit better than the first one, especially with some of the wide shots of her being in the Amazon, and then the whole surroundings of it being 1984 to me were some of the best shots as far as cinematography that I've seen all year long. And I know it's 2020, and there's not a lot of different movies out there right now, and some of them are lower budgets. But do you agree with that, Zach? Do you think did you like some of the cinematography in this movie?
Yeah, I mean the fight choreography is definitely the better aspects of the film. The way certain sequences were shot, especially when we get to one of the big sequences is the Cairo chase sequence. I thought that was really well executed, and even we'll talk about Kristen Wiig and the whole cheetah thing here soon. But I mean, say what you will about that whole thing, but I thought the fight sequence between them was actually pretty good. So.
I do like where it shows her at the beginning of the 80s hunting down and chasing a bunch of different bad guys.
Yeah,
that's something.
In the mall.
That's something that I think a lot of superhero movies get away from nowadays. If you notice, like maybe in the Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man, or in some of the early '90s Batman movies, it shows them taking care of some weak 10-second bad guys that doesn't take any effort to take down.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the new superhero movies nowadays, you don't get a lot of that.
No.
It just
it kind of brought it back to basics,
right?
In a way.
So again, that's another positive on that side is, I do enjoy stuff like that, because I think you could almost even compare it to a college football game. you always want to start off with seeing your favorite hero or your favorite team just kick the shit out of somebody. You always start off with that small school and they just wipe them out with them.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see that in my superhero movies because you like to see your heroes flex and look strong, and maybe use some of their main moves before you see a Thanos come in and kick the shit out of him. Before you see the Joker come in and lay his wood down.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Slow start is a very good thing. I agree with that. A slow start is a very good thing because honestly, it's kind of fun to see her twirl around the rope like she did.
But that's what I like about this movie is you didn't get a slow start. You started right off with the Amazonians, the Olympic Games, and then you get straight into her kicking some bad guys' ass.
Well, no, I'm saying like as in power levels and all that. Like you said, not bringing a Thanos in right away.
Right. The build up.
She did some regular just jackasses in a mall that turned out to be part of a larger
right
thing.
But it wasn't slow at all.
But no. I'm just saying like slow start of okay, here are the bad guys. They're level like half right now and not level 55. Some shit like that. That's all I mean.
The villain. You're talking about the villain build up.
Basically, yeah.
We just don't want to get anybody out there to think that the movie starts off slow.
No.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, for me, I don't know about what you guys think, but after that sequence, after the mall rescue, I guess you could say, for me, the pacing was the problem. Going forward from that point, it was just kind of like we didn't. I just felt like it was, for me, it wasn't a good build up to the climax of the movie. Does that make sense?
What do you mean? Because like after that, you get introduced to like Kristen Wiig's character.
Yeah.
And then you do get you kind of get. I can see, and Ed, you can step in anytime. I see why a lot of people have, and that's literally a lot of the bad reviews that I'm getting, or a lot of people messaging me is, I didn't like the pacing of the movie.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'm going to back that up by saying, to me, I thought the pacing was fine, but it's only because you got more of Diana from a non-hero standpoint. In the first Wonder Woman, you really get to see her as the Amazonian background. Then you see her transition into Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You don't get any backstory with her in Justice League or Batman vs. Superman. So this is really a, not origin story, but this is the first time you get to see her take her gear off, if you will.
Yeah. She's a civilian.
Yeah. She This is the first time you get to see her miss people.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time you get to see her eat dinner.
Yeah.
This is the first time you get to see her apartment.
And
I mean,
let me clarify. And I guess I should back up what I was saying is, I think Gal Gadot's performance in this movie is actually I think better than the first movie.
Me too.
But I just didn't, because okay. So since we're in spoilers, you've already been warned. Go see the movie. From this point forward, we're going to be talking about some of the plot details. Knowing that the whole thing revolves around a stone that basically grants wishes, I thought was just kind of lame from a villain aspect. Does that make sense?
Now, don't forget they do take some of these backstories from the DC comic books,
right? And that's fine, but I just thought
you might agree with this, Ed. I don't know if you've seen enough of them to agree, but it feels more like a Indiana Jones movie in some aspects of the film.
Yes, I would definitely agree.
And when a lot of people were upset about the pacing issues, that's what I kind of defend it with was, it does feel like an old school Indiana Jones movie, but set in the 80s.
Right.
And then I think it's just a lot of 3 or 4 different things in one movie, but it's really more of a Wonder Woman Diana love story than anything. And I think the reason they used the stone is to get rid of Chris Pine, to bring him back for the sequel, but yet I think this movie is more about Chris Pine's character than anything else. And I think you use that stone to bring him back from the dead
Mhm.
and then to push him away. She had to sacrifice her love for Chris Pine to get him out of the story forever.
I kind of think it's also a little thing of be careful what you wish for, just because it could bite you in the ass. You might have to let go of it, different things like that.
On paper, I mean, that's what you originally get with,
Yeah.
Pascal's character. But throw him out, throw Kristen Wiig out. I think it's all about Diana and Chris Pine in this movie.
Honestly, I've kind of got a thing. I thought Kristen Wiig, like her downplay and then her upplay was a little too forced.
What do you mean?
Her being like a victim, then become the.
Yeah, because I mean, like the whole bullied thing comes way too hard. Oh, she's hated. Like, oh, I
You
fucking
talking about
hired
Kristen
you?
Wiig?
Yeah, because at first it's like I fucking hired you to. Oh my god, you're my best friend. Look, it's the black gold corporative guy.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It reminded me a little bit of Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Yeah,
made Spider-Man 2.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Because you need that character to do that. So whenever it comes time to either save everybody or give up her powers, she's not going to give up her powers. So that's the reason I think you need her to be super bullied or super thrown under the rug from everybody in the whole movie.
The other thing for me, and me and Johnny were talking about it off air, I like Pedro Pascal. I think he's really good in Mandalorian and Game of Thrones and even Narcos. He was terrible in this. I just thought his villain was very campy, over the top. And maybe that's what they were going for, an 80s villain type thing. But for me, I just when I'm talking about it with you guys, I kind of think that you really could have just had Kristen Wiig's character Barbara be the ultimate antagonist and just cut Maxwell out of the film. Max Lord, I guess his name.
Yeah.
I think you just needed,
because you could have done the Stone thing, but just centered around Barbara.
But in all these DC movies, and we'll go all the way back to Suicide Squad 2016, to where guess what, guys? They get these villains wrong. We talked about it when we talked, I think, years ago when we started talking about Aquaman, and we were going to do like a whole DC month. DC has been getting these villains wrong, and it shows here again with Wonder Woman 1984.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the last big actor that played a villain in these movies besides Ewan McGregor? Jared Leto. He was in the movie For a Cup of Coffee. That entire movie was based around villains, but other than that, the villains are easily forgettable in these DC movies lately.
Probably the only one that it's probably impartial because of his performance, but Michael Shannon as Zod.
Look, how long ago was that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was like 2013.
Yeah.
So
and I had a discussion with Dusty, who is a frequent listener and emails the show. I was like, why not cast somebody like Javier Bardem if you need a Latin ruthless bad guy who dresses well and looks like $1 million? Why not put him in the movie?
Exactly.
I think they were just so high off of his one helmet off performance on Mandalorian and decided to put him in. And guess what? I think it fucking backfired. He was the worst part of the movie for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe him as a bad guy. I couldn't believe him as a loving father. I couldn't even believe him as a piece of shit father when he was lying to his kid. I think he needs to stay on TV. He needs to just stay doing his TV shows and acting on TV shows because, I mean, you could say bad writing or bad script or just a bad movie, but when the lights were on bright and he was the main bad guy or the main villain in this movie, he fucking flopped.
It was for me, I don't know about you guys, but anytime he showed up on screen, I was just like, I just wanted to turn it off.
Yeah.
You know.
I was very, very disappointed in, and honestly, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know he was going to be in the movie until I did some research like a few days before I watched it. I really kept a lot of this stuff off pace with me. I didn't want to be, spoiled or anything. So when I saw him appear, I'm like, I already want to turn this off. Literally already want to turn this off.
What about you, Ed? What'd you think?
I didn't mind him. I mean, honestly, I'll agree with, like, he didn't seem that big of a villain. He didn't seem like he was some ultimate baddie to where, like, Kristen Wiig did. I will say I thought they probably should have given it to her. But I mean, honestly, like, it's kind of hard to explain because I don't believe he did horrible. I just don't really.
Did you believe him at all?
At points. At points.
So, I mean,
but it wasn't just like, oh my god, this dude, like Josh Brolin's motion capture was far, far more.
And that's basically a CGI character.
Well, yeah, that's what
the robotic shark at Jaws is more believable than fucking Pedro Pascal's dude.
He's sunk many times, okay? So he dealt with a lot of shit.
And you know what? And I don't know, but if DC is going this way for the rest of their films, God help us all, because I really have been doing, DC plugs. It was just a year ago that we were so high on the Joker, and I know that's a different universe, but now where is this universe going after Wonder Woman 1984?
Well, and that's the thing. This one does. Even the first, the first film kind of had like little visual cues. This one has nothing. There's what
do you mean?
Meaning that there's no like indication of where we're going.
Well, I do. Did you not see?
Well, other than that, but that
I was like, hold on, what?
Don't even get me started on that. But yeah, but I mean, overall, the overarching thing is, even with Batman or Man of Steel, it kind of hints at where we're going. Man of Steel. I mean, Batman versus Superman does the same thing.
We're going to talk about the ending a little bit later on, but I will say, to kind of defend it, Warner Brothers did have Patty Jenkins change the ending, maybe because of the pandemic, or maybe because DC just really doesn't know what the fuck they're doing after this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as of now, you have a Wonder Woman universe. What the fuck what are they doing with Henry Cavill and Man of Steel? Mm-hmm. You have the Suicide Squad universe that's supposed to come out in August, and then you have Robert Pattinson's universe and the Batman.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And it's really and really you could even take it a step further and include Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. And
I just hope that they do a reset with the Flash movie. I hope that movie comes in. And
I don't think that's never gonna.
I just hope. Well, the director's already signed on to it, so I just hope that they come in with that movie and just reset the whole fucking timeline.
And isn't Aquaman 2? That's still happening, isn't it?
It's still happening.
You see, now they've made it to where Amber Heard can have just a little less of a role. Like, okay.
But I don't want to take anything away from Gal Gadot and the writing and the direction of Patty Jenkins. I think, as far as an actress goes, Gal Gadot, she signed up to do Cleopatra. Yeah. She's going to do that movie in a few years. I cannot wait to see what she does next and how she acts in that film.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be that could be the one that calls an Oscar for her.
Yeah.
This is probably a bold statement, but the way 2020 has been, I would put her in for best actress for this movie, for Wonder Woman 1984. She has, I mean, this is skipping way ahead, but when she ran off from Chris Pine in that final scene from him, I was like, emotionally, that got me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, she showed it in this movie. She showed it from beginning all the way to end.
And that's one of the best things about at least these two films of Wonder Woman and 84 is that the Chris Pine and Gal Gadot have really good chemistry with each other, and so you believe that relationship, and you want it to succeed.
How did you feel about the invisible jet? How did y'all feel about that scene, or that? Did it seem forced? I
kind of thought it was shoe-in.
I kind of thought it was forced because all of a sudden she said, "My father's working on this, technique."
Yeah,
and it was just like, oh, she just, 50 years later found out how to do it. Fuck it, I got it, kind of thing. Like,
I'm not saying that was bad. I just felt like it was just kind of like, oh, okay, so we're
like, hey, we're doing this.
We're doing this now.
How do we explain how we did this? Oh, just say her father did something and wave her hands around and it's cool, and then just make it invisible. Like, fuck it, why not?
It was kind of no different than somebody with the healing power from Star Wars, or bringing somebody back from the dead.
And now everybody can use the fucking power.
Yeah. So I mean that is one of the, at least, I don't know about the other Star. That's not in any of the other Star Wars films, but at least you see Wonder Woman do that in some of the older movies and some of the older comic books.
Well, in Revenge of the Sith, they talk about being able.
But it's been there.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest complaints, and we're going to do emails here after the review, but one of the biggest complaints that I've heard is that it's too damn long. It's 2 hours and 4 minutes or whatever. It's like I think you could have cut this down to 2 hours 2:10. I think it would have been fine.
But some of the longest scenes, though, I think
it's only 10 minutes longer than the first one, so
it did feel long. But I think you do need some of those slow pacing scenes of her getting in with Chris Pine. I think that's where a lot of the majority of the long scenes come from.
Just them kind of rekindling their romance.
I think this movie would have been a lot better if you completely take Pedro Pascal out and made it 2 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Cut all his shit out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you get rid of him and just have Kristen Wiig be the main antagonist, and I think it would have been fine.
I mean, honestly, like you could have kept him in for the first probably 10 minutes of what he done. He's trying to get the stone, and then she's like, "What's so special about this? Why, and then just killed him or something like that off screen."
And then she kills him, and then
she inherited the powers of the stone or whatever have you, and goes from there. And she's wanting to be this almighty, powerful god.
But see, that's the thing that I hated about it was you have him that kept getting everybody's wish, and he kept looking more dysfunctional. When all in reality, you don't need him, and you could have had Barbara do it. And then Barbara could have became the cheetah-looking thing like an hour before the movie was over, instead of just the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was kind of a disappointing, because in that trailer where cheetah's revealed, it's like, okay, this is going to be awesome. It looks the CGI at the time looked really good and everything, and
that's that's another thing I've heard is like that people thought that the CGI in this movie was terrible.
No. I think, if anything, her quote-unquote reveal as Cheetah, it kind of looked a combination of CG and makeup.
Yeah.
It looked practical.
Like they basically did most of it in makeup, but they gone ahead and added in big touches with CGI.
Yeah. What did you think? I mean, we're jumping a little bit ahead, but we're going to go back and touch back on some stuff. Did you like the way the Cheetah looked when Barbara transformed?
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of thought we would get a transformation sequence, but no, it's just, okay, she's there. That's it.
And I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, they could have shown a few different things like that and then hid some of the stuff like Pedro Pascal's, different little things
entire
that he
character.
got to do. But, I mean, I did like the cheetah look, though. Aesthetic, that was really, really cool, really, really nice. I thought it was really good.
Another thing, and usually Ed gets flack for this, but the little boy, Alistair, I completely hated that character.
Who hates kids now, Ed?
Yeah,
I just
fucking.
I thought it was just another. I mean, if there was anything positive about it, he acted better than Pedro Pascal. He was more believable than he was.
Well, I mean, all he had to do was stand there and look like he shit himself. So.
He did.
He looked like he had a loaded diaper.
Let's go to the main title of this movie, 1984. I do enjoy how they don't overly excite you with 80s things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're in the 80s, but every fucking song and every other sentence that comes out of these characters' mouths they're not overdoing it like The Wedding Singer.
I was about to say,
you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a nice taste of 80s, and they're not overkilling you with, hey, we're in the 80s, hey, we're in the 80s.
I think the only part that they might have overkilled was when Chris Pine was doing
the clothes try on.
Yeah. But
that was funny, but it wasn't.
Well, I was about to say, if that's the worst that you get,
mm-hmm.
that ain't shit. Like, that was, like you said, it was funny, and it was kind of like, this motherfucker, they really wore shit like this. Holy fuck, know, kind of thing, more than oh my god.
It was funny in that, he puts the
parachute pants on, and he's like,
do people parachute?
Does everybody parachute? Or, pockets everywhere, and I thought his character was fun to a point because, he introduced her to a lot in the first. Now she's introducing him like he's fucking Captain America to a lot of shit.
The roles have reversed.
Because, he gets on an escalator, doesn't realize he's moving, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, fuck, what?
That's another thing I like is when she finally does introduce to him the airplanes.
Emotionally, that was a very good scene.
Yeah, and then he's just like, you know what, I'm here. I'm here for the long run. She introduced to him so much stuff that he was like, you would think that he would be the one that's like, I don't want to go when the time is here, but it was the other way around. He's like, you know what, you have to sacrifice me in order to save what could possibly happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super, super happy that this whole movie was not based around we're going to end the world or this could end the world or I'm going to take over the world. No,
it wasn't apocalyptic.
Exactly. It was like, you know what? We're just going to... This could be that big, but right now you just need to get that stone.
Well, and
I thought it was really cool how they tied it in with a lot of different places, you know, the Mayans and different cultures like that. The
stone goes back through history.
Yeah, and it's always something that just gets destroyed in the blink of an eye, and nothing else is, you know, known about it. So I thought that was really cool, and the little the studies they put behind that and all that, and kind of tying it into some historical facts and all that was pretty cool. I like that. I really did like that. Even the gemology that they did, those little bits of it was cool.
Did you guys like, you know, over the overarching message of, you know, wishing for something that you want, and that's how Chris Pine comes back?
It was unique. I did want to see how they brought him back into the story, because you obviously knew he was going to be back with, you know, if you pay attention to any of the top billed cast.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy, you know, that it wasn't just one of those.
Do you think if they hit it, it would have been a better reveal?
Hit him not being in the movie?
Yeah.
I don't think it ruined the movie. It would have been a nice little touch up, but I don't think it ruined it.
No, not ruined, but like it would have been a big surprise if they hid Chris Pine from all the trailers and everything, and it's revealed.
It would have been really hard to, but I think it would. Yeah, it would have been. What about you, Ed? Or do you think maybe they needed to at least push another big star to maybe maybe he was like another reason to try to sell some more tickets?
I don't think so, like that much.
Do you guys think he's not that big like he used to be maybe like 10 years ago?
No.
Or 5 years ago?
No. I'm not going to say his career's faded, but I mean, he's just not as prevalent as he was.
Well, I mean, in this movie right now, Pedro Pascal is hot, you know, in his career right now. And I mean, whether you do or like or don't like, he is. You know, Gal Gadot, certainly for this role, you know, or the Fast and the Furious franchise, is a big commodity. So, I mean, she's got a lot of push in that, you know.
And she was really only in, 2 Fast and Furious movies?
Right, and that's the thing. It's, you know, even Sue King with, you know, Han. You know,
and Kristen Wiig is always...
Yeah. She's always been consistent in what she does. So, I mean, it's nice to have someone like that you can at least be like, okay, she's probably going to do pretty good in what they give her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see. You know, because, I mean...
It's always interesting when they take comedians and put them into this type of role.
Yeah. Because you can either get complete and total shit or something that's just brilliant.
Right. So, yeah, I would agree.
Because he was super hot. Like, he did, what did he do? He did This Means War, the first Star Trek, Unstoppable.
That was a good movie.
People Like Us. And then he did Into Darkness, the Jack Ryan film. Horrible Bosses 2, Into the Woods, The Finest Hours, Hell or High Water, Star Trek Beyond, Wonder Woman, and then he did A Wrinkle in Time, which, and then he voiced in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then Wonder Woman 1984. And I think he's kind of done with Star Trek, unfortunately, because I really liked him as a Captain Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Aren't they? I thought they were doing Star Trek 4, and they're going to bring Hemsworth back. That's what I thought they were doing.
That's a prequel, but I don't think Chris Pine's in it, though.
No, it's going to be Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and Chris Hemsworth's back as his dad.
Is that directed by Tarantino? Is that the one?
No.
I don't know. I really felt like this cast was solid besides Pascal.
I'm surprised, honestly, that they didn't do
let's talk about him for a second, because, you know, a lot of people might be thinking like I'm harping on him, But I mean, as an on-screen actor, let's take a look right quick. He has been in nothing but TV shows: Law and Order, Buffy, Nurse Jackie, and let's small roles in stuff like The Adjustment Bureau. Very small roles in Little Liars, Charlie's Angels, CSI.
He's predominantly a television
Yeah,
actor.
he only did seven episodes of Game of Thrones. He had a small role in The Great Wall. I guess he's in the incomplete series of Narcos. Small role of Kingsman.
Yeah, that's right. The second one or the second one.
And then I mean he's in Mandalorian, but let's face it, how long is he in really Mandalorian?
Especially after this last season, yeah.
I mean he's only in it for what? Every time he just takes his helmet off, which is what, just a few scenes in season 1 and 2.
I mean the one like
he doesn't even voice him, does he?
Yeah, he
voices him.
But he does it.
The next to
he
last,
voices, but doesn't. Sometimes someone else does the suit, the actual action part of it.
Either the second to last or the third to last episode was the longest he's had his helmet off when he was with Bill Burr.
Yeah,
and his character, and that was maybe
he shows his face more in season 2 than season 1.
Oh yeah, because he never did in season. They did in season 1.
There's like one scene in season 1.
Yeah, I think the final episode of season 1.
Gotcha.
When he like got hurt.
But what I was gonna ask was, are you surprised they didn't do like a love triangle in this? Like Chris Pine comes back, but she's fallen in love with somebody else.
Batman.
I'm kind of glad they didn't, just because that would have been a little too cliche. But I don't know. Who would you have picked though? Surely not Pascal.
No. But I'm just saying that like she's moved on from Trevor, and like she's married somebody else, and then
if anything,
the events of the film happen and Chris Pine comes back.
If anything, that's what I really liked about this movie, was you see how depressed she is still after all these years. You see her you see the lonely pictures. You see right off the bat, she's sitting down eating dinner, and the waiter's like, "Is anybody else ordering?" She says no, and you're like, "Oh, damn, that sucks."
Yeah.
So if anything, you're kind of like, that made you want, like, okay, I know Chris Pine's in the movie.
But when is he showing up?
How's he here? How does he get back? And what, she needs him. You know what I mean?
And they do the stupid cliche movie thing where like she's sitting by herself and everyone around her is a couple. Just like, okay, we get it.
But I enjoyed that aspect. I guess that's what a lot of people have issues with, is the slow pacing of her being by herself, and then her being the best friend to Wig, and then her getting back with Chris Pine, and then them hanging out and having their multi-dates and stuff, which I personally liked it.
Just 1 is the loneliest number.
Huh?
1 is the loneliest number. Aww.
So anyway, I guess we can kind of talk about. We didn't talk about it in movie news, but I guess we can now. People are complaining that they've already greenlit Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's literally 2 days after the movie, which happens all the time.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah,
the weekend that the first one opened up, they announced that Wonder Woman 2 is going to happen. The biggest news, though, out of that scenario is that Patty Jenkins has already said that Wonder Woman 3 is going to be in modern times. So, to me,
which makes sense.
She's going to try and kick COVID's ass.
Which I'm finally happy, because if that's modern times, then that means the events of Justice League have already happened, and she's already met Batman and Superman. So what else can happen in that movie?
And as an end joke, how is Chris Pine going to come back this time?
No. Well, let's talk about that, because you can obviously tell, they wrote him off for good.
Yeah.
In the movie, which he's not announced. He's not billed for the third one, so he's not coming back.
I mean, he literally says, "You have to let me go in order to save the world."
Yeah.
So,
what did you guys think of that scene when you knew it was coming, but me personally, I didn't think she was gonna just do it right then and there, turn around and run away from him, and it was just like
that's it.
It hit you in the gut.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. It kind of alludes to that in the first scenes. Just because you have to run. Okay, because they're focus so much on the truth, the truth, the truth, the truth. You know the truth in your heart, and it goes on. You learn that the stone was created by the god of lies and all that. So you're literally running towards the truth. So or the lies.
Well, yeah,
so
I mean,
you need to run towards the truth. And
well,
run
you
towards
know that's
him.
how they're taking him away.
Well, right, but I'm saying
So it's not like really a surprise.
Just some of it's a metaphorical thing. That's all. Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
I mean, you could kind of see it coming in a way because I figured like once Kristen Wiig picked up the stone, I was like, she's gonna wish to be like Diana, and sure enough, like 2
That's
seconds
what
later,
happens.
I wish to be like Diana. And I mean, there was some predictability to this movie.
Some predictability. There was a lot of predictability.
Well,
in this
I'm just
movie.
saying, like I didn't really know shit about it, and I could call different things just before they happened, and it was kind of like, okay, yeah, cool. Cool. And I mean, to be able to see it like Cheetah, get to see that costume, that was cool. Get to see the golden armor that she donned. That was really cool at the end of the movie. Get to see, even the little scene where she was trying to talk to everybody and all that was nice because she's struggling, and then all of a sudden she's just sitting there and you're like, what the fuck is she giving up for? Like, goddamn, you're Wonder Woman, bitch. Get the fuck up. Beat his ass.
The best way I can describe this movie is I had a coworker text me over the weekend and say, hey, have you watched the new Wonder Woman? I said, yeah. They asked me what I think. I said, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Compared to like the first movie where it's just like, there's just wasn't, me and Johnny were talking about this off air, and I just felt like there just wasn't a lot of memorable scenes like the first movie. Like when Diana walks up out of no man's land and starts hurtling towards the Germans, that's very, like, it's so cool. I feel like we just didn't have that scene in this movie.
There were some scenes in this movie.
Well, I mean,
but it wasn't like I'll agree. It wasn't like the first one, but there's at least probably 3 or 4 memorable scenes in this second one.
And on top of that, I feel that they had to tone her down to a point because now she's more understanding of the quote unquote civilized world or the world of man, if you will. So she understands more of what happens in our world compared to what happens in her world, and she's blind to what we do. So I mean, then she was headstrong, and she was just like, okay.
Is that what you were talking about? Like you wish she was more beastly like in the first one?
No, I mean, I actually appreciate that aspect where she's actually civilized. I'm just talking about like, you have in the first movie the no man's land sequence, and then she saves the little village, and then even the battle at the end with Ares. This one, with the exception of maybe the Cairo scene.
We have Cairo, you have the mall.
And the cheetah sequence.
We also have that little fight sequence in between where they're like in that little White House looking thing.
Oh, the White House.
In the White House. So, I mean, there's still 3 or 4 good scenes in this one. And then you got to throw, you have to throw this one has more.
There's more emotion probably in this one than the first one.
True. So so you can say this one is more unlike. Honestly, this is more unlike any other superhero movie we've probably ever seen, because there is so many aspects in this one compared to a lot of the other ones. I mean, you have love, you have emotion, you have sadness, you have action, you have comedy. It's 3 or 4 different feelings in one film.
They kind of do the, if you paid attention close, they actually kind of do the Spider-Man 2 thing where she starts losing her powers. Yeah. Because that her wish was to bring. Yeah, her wish is to bring Trevor back, but it's also taken away from Diana because, like you said, Ed, Barbara wants to be her.
Right, and I mean, honestly, as Pedro Pascal's character, Max Lloyd, or Lord, gone ahead and, iterated and shown many, many times is that for this wish, you must give something up. And she basically was giving, to a point, her powers, because it's like when you first see her struggling to break the lock off, it's like, what the fuck? And even Trevor, is like, damn, that was a strong lock.
Yeah.
So he's like not noticing she's weak, but she's like not as strong as she usually is, or that's just a very powerful piece of equipment.
All right.
So we're not getting in emails yet, but I'm going to read some stuff off of Twitter. Earlier yesterday, we had a post that says, "Ask us anything about Wonder Woman and how it holds up against any other DC films." Cold 957 says, It's a turkey that you would not want to serve despite it being Christmas. That's how he feels about Wonder Woman 1987 or 1984.
87. That's the threequel.
David AC says, I saw Wonder Woman in the theaters, and it's clearly the worst movie of 2020. It will definitely win the Razzie for worst movie. I'm looking forward to the autopsy. There are a lot of Warner Brothers executives who should be fired.
I mean, I agree with the last part, but damn.
What last part?
The Warner Brothers executives getting fired.
Oh.
Did you not see Doolittle?
Fuck Warner Brothers.
I'm just saying.
I mean, Doolittle's pretty bad, but I mean, what do you think? Do you think that would make you think Wonder Woman would make your top 5 worst movie?
No.
Of the year?
No.
No?
Do you think it was that bad?
I think it was bad, but I don't think it was that bad.
Okay.
What about you, Ed? Mr. I mean, you give everything like
you're
a 7.
You're the positive on that.
You give everything a 7 or an 8, so.
No, I don't. No, I like this movie. I thought it was decent. I'm not saying it's just as exciting as the first one, but I do think it had better parts on, or better things on this, and I think they were just going more with a metaphorical thing than an actuality, which I think a lot of people are expecting so fucking much from this movie.
Were you not expecting a lot though from this movie, with it being after all you've seen from all the other DC movies, after how good the first one was? I mean, I'm sure you were expecting at least a better than what you saw movie.
I was expecting a good movie, and I feel like I got a good movie. I feel like the cinematography was good. I feel like the CGI was good when they used it. I feel like
that doesn't really make a. I mean, as far as like storyboard goes, did it tell a good story? That's what we're.
I mean, basically, it's not that it really.
Because you can throw the score, the cinematography, you can throw all that out. At the end of the day, if you didn't get a good story and the actors weren't as great.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. You're saying the only drawback for you is Pedro Pascal, and I mean, don't get me wrong. With the story, I don't think it told a bad story. I don't think it told the greatest story either, but I don't think it told a bad story. I think people are just pissing in their pants a lot because they literally are going, we didn't get the shining moment of everything, And I mean, I'm sorry, but yes.
What do you mean the shining moment of everything?
Just some goddamn Thanos moment, basically. Like, that's what they were expecting. And I'm sorry, but okay, we didn't get that from this. Okay, I get that. But don't get me wrong. I'd rank it just as good as the first one.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of bad reviews as far as like a Thanos moment. I don't even know where that came from. But like as far as a lot of people complaining about it, the only complaints that I've really seen out there is like Jack brought up the pacing issues. Which I mean, I defended that against Zach. So I mean,
but I'm just not. I just don't understand.
We've been spoiled. Let's just admit it. Yeah. We've been spoiled with the Marvel and everything. Like, we have really good villains, but I mean, like you said, Johnny, the downfall of DC is they don't know how to adapt these characters.
They don't know how to cast a good villain.
Mm.
So.
Let's
talk about maybe. I'm going to bring up another point, but until I bring up some other comments from the Facebook page from other listeners, what do you guys think of that final sequence where you have to start letting your wishes go, and she tries to tell Barbara that you have to let it go, but she doesn't, and then she ends up the White House sequence really happens. What did you guys think of the White House sequence?
That was kind of funny.
Where you finally saw Barbara, kick her ass.
Yeah. I thought it was a good sequence. I think it was a good because, if you really think about it, Diana doesn't really have a physical rival in this movie until we get to Barbara, who's slowly transforming into Cheetah.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have her, she really doesn't fight anybody. Because how is she gonna fight Maxwell at the end? Unless he grows like mechanical arms or something.
Wishes that she has no powers.
I'm going to read another comment on the Facebook page. Dusty says, one of the worst superhero films I've ever seen. Warner Brothers made a wise movie to just release it on streaming and limited theaters. This movie would have bombed if it was just normal times. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Disagree, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's just like BVS. This is all that's reminding me of is just BVS. Kind of what you said. We're all spoiled. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you get a good movie and then you shit your pants about it and cry. Like, That's all I'm hearing is just crybabies.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed Batman versus Superman, but technically it did bomb as well.
Right.
Like, and it was only in theaters for like 3 weeks.
But I don't think this one would have bombed. I really don't.
No.
I'm not trying to argue just because I think it was a good movie or whatever. I'm just saying, like, I don't think this would have bombed. Because,
no, this movie would have made. I would have said it like $1 billion, truthfully, because so many people like the first movie.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, like I said, Pedro Pascal is hot, and he's a hot commodity. So I mean, if they still released it Christmas Day in theaters, everything normal, I feel like it would have sold very well just because of Gal Gadot and Pedro Pascal.
I mean, you know, and we really didn't get to talk about it, but Johnny, you're the only one out of the three of us who got to see it at the theater, and just tell us what that experience was like.
It was still slow. There was probably only 10 people in there, and they were all surprisingly older people, like well over their 50s and 60s. Obviously, so a lot of those people don't carry Fire Sticks or Xboxes or streaming services. So, and the reaction was good in the theater, but I do wish that this movie had made a little bit more money. I did have a better experience in the theater watching it on the big screen with the surrounding mints. But I do have I got a tip off my hat. I don't know if it was just the internet quality I have or just HBO Max or my setup, but it looked amazing sitting and watching it at home. It was HBO Max put when the good thing about HBO Max is you don't have to adjust the picture setting. It automatically gives you the highest
4K,
quality, 4K UHD. So even sitting at home, it looked just as great as seeing it in the theater. So, I mean, this is the second movie now that I've seen in theaters since the pandemic. I think I've went and seen I went and saw Tenet, and then I went and saw Wonder Woman 1984. I just really wish more people saw it in the theater. Zach, we thought it was going to be funny last week. We talked about it. You thought Wonder Woman would get close to Bad Boys 3. It's not even close.
No.
It's Bad Boys.
We're literally going to end the year with Bad Boys as the #1 film, box office wise.
Yeah, and it's been out for a whole 12 months.
Yep.
And it came out in January last year, and it's still the highest grossing film of 2020.
It's crazy.
What do you guys think looking back? I know we're going to do our year-end review in February, on the first week of February, but looking back at this year, what do you guys think have been, some of the positives about 2020? So what do you guys have some positives of 2020 so far?
I mean, 2020 has been a decent year for me so far. Let's see. Gotten a promotion.
I'm talking about like movie-wise.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Probably just to see just how well streaming has done.
Yeah.
It's always been, streaming is always popular, but this has been like
You talking about
10 times fold.
Yeah.
Compared to previous years.
Probably as how fast maybe you got to see something at home without going to,
Going to the theater, yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to go ahead and talk about some of our favorite scenes so we can get into a bunch of the emails because we have a lot to get through. Do you guys have any favorite scenes from Wonder Woman 1984? I'll jump off on I'm going to say I do like the entire sequences with Chris Pine and Gal Gadot when they're just reunited all the way up until she runs away. I love them two together in this movie. I really think the White House scene is really, really set, really nice. And I'm not going to say the cheetah scene where they're fighting, but I will probably say the scene where she kind of just goes through and gets all the little bad guys out of the way before the movie really kicks off fast.
Mm-hmm.
And the mall sequences. So.
I would say the the opening sequence, the Amazon Olympic Games. I thought that was a cool sequence. The Cairo chase sequence was really well executed, and yeah, I would agree with you, Johnny. Just the whole anytime you got to see Diana and Trevor or Chris Pine and Gal Gadot together. I thought they were, like I said on the outset, they have really good chemistry.
Yeah. Ed, what about you? Do you have any favorite scenes?
Yeah, I'd say a few different ones for that matter. Because I mean, honestly, the mall scene was really, really fun and really nice to have. The what was it? The convoy chase actually I thought was really cool. You seen kind of how she struggled a little bit when she started losing her powers in that. I think first off, um, I will agree. Like when she turned the jet invisible, that was a pretty cool little scene, especially with Chris Pine and his character, kind of the joy and the reminiscing, I guess you could say, nostalgia.
Just her enjoying, like them enjoying spending time together.
Yeah, well, I mean, him, just excited over what is happening and how much he actually knows of like this one thing that's in the future, but he knows it just because he's done it so much, and then he figured it out really quickly, as well as like her just getting to watch him, figure things out and be excited about that. So I mean, there were definitely, I think, positives in this movie. Definitely a lot of them, but yeah.
I didn't even read the synopsis off to everybody, but as it says, rewind to the 1980s, Wonder Woman's next big screen adventure finds her facing two all-new foes, Max Lord and the Cheetah. I really did enjoy the cast. Gal Gadot was amazing. Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig as Barbara was fun. So I'm gonna have to probably say star rating is next. So Ed, what do you give this movie?
Oh, just a 7, like everything,
7,
8.
8.5, strong 8.5,
Just
or just an 8?
good 8.
Good 8.
Good 8. Good 8.
Good 8.
Good 8.
What about you, Zach?
Like I said, I like this movie. I didn't love it. It was cool seeing the cast, the original cast back together. Kristen Wiig was good. Pedro Pascal was not. But overall, I enjoyed it. I would not say it's a bad movie. I'll give it a 7. That's about where I stand on it.
I think I'll take a good old boat out of you guys' ocean, and I'll give it a 7 as well. Other than probably, like I said, Pedro, which again, each to their own. But I think this movie has solid core acting from the big three, including Kristen Wiig, Chris Pine, and Gal Gadot. I think Gal Gadot carries this entire film on her back like she did the first one. Patty Jenkins knocked it out of the park as far as writing this movie and directing it. And everybody complains about the small sequences or the love story. I think the love story and the romantic part of this movie was the best. I think it was fun to see Wonder Woman or a superhero just living everyday life and living everyday struggles with relationships, or it kind of felt like a modern day Sleepless in Seattle, but Wonder Woman edition. So I think that part of it is fine, and I think that part is fun. I didn't see any bad CGI. I didn't see any bad action sequences. I thought all the action sequences were some of the best action scenes we've seen all year. Right now, honestly, I probably like this just as much as Tenet. I don't know. I'll have to give Tenet a rewatch for next week's episode. But I'd give it a 7. I think, and I agree with all you guys and all your grades. This movie really isn't as bad as people are saying it is.
No.
It's just not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like I said, it's not as good as the first one, but I still enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I would watch it again, but probably wouldn't hit the Blu-ray or something.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. Like, I'll pay for it. I probably would even go pay and see it in the theater again. Mm. It's just I don't know why you have a movie like this that comes out and everybody's just really down on 2020, and then boom, the DC haters come out and it's just like, well, Endgame was just as, and I'm like, you can't compare these movies anymore, guys.
You know what, Johnny? Let's talk about this. Let's bring up some emails.
I just really, really frustrating.
Does it grind your gears?
It really does, especially when you have
Rant of the day.
Rant of the day. Again, you guys can email us at CINEMEN921 at gmail.com. I have gotten to some of you guys, but I haven't gotten to everybody. Just know that there's a bunch of emails coming out. I'm going to kick up a notch. Usually I do about 10 to 15 emails. From now on, starting next week, I'm going to do up to 20 emails a show. So keep them coming. Barry says, great episode last week. Love the interview. Can't wait to hear more from you guys. Definitely one of the funniest movie podcasts out there. If you guys could pick someone to interview in 2021, famous or not famous, who would it be and why?
Leo. Motherfucking Leo. That'd be hilarious as shit. I think that would just be what we could and couldn't, like, what links we could go to would just be fucking awesome.
I had time to think about this because I read this a few days ago, and I would probably say Quentin Tarantino.
Mm. I would probably say Spielberg or Nolan would be good. We just talk about time for an hour and a half. So.
But if I could talk to anybody locally, I would call out and try to interview somebody from OETA.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because there's so many different classic movies out there. I want to know. We all know how we pick movies. We sit around a round table and sometimes we just talk. I want to see how they pick some of their movies.
Yeah, like on the OTA movie club thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valerie says, I've always wondered, some of you sound so passionate about the movies that you guys talk about. On a scale from 1 to 10, how passionate are you really about each movie that you talk about, or how really passionate are you about movies?
I mean, honestly, like, I want to say 10 for that matter, but I don't have, like, upwards of thousands of DVDs sitting around me,
I don't think you have to. I mean, just because you don't have that around you doesn't mean you're not passionate about something.
Right, but I mean,
you don't live in Hogwarts, but you're still really passionate about Harry Potter.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Or Star Wars, or even Marvel.
Yeah, I mean,
different things.
But you have to remember, Ed, we don't live in a fucking blockbuster like Johnny does.
Fucking blockbuster. What the fuck? But no, I'd have to say 10 just because, it was kind of a thing that, a couple years ago we came up with, and, like, you came to me and were like, hey, what do you think about doing this with me? And I was like, yeah, sounds cool, At first I wasn't sure how the fuck we were going to do it and all that stuff, but as we grew and as we understood how to do it, this became so much more fun. And then, as we've talked to each other outside of, I guess, the work or the hobby or whatever you want to call this, because I don't see it as work, but I mean, it's always a fun time, and it's a fun couple hours out of the week that I look forward to every single week, because I get to spend it with basically guys who have, I mean, one might be family, but guys who have kind of become best friends of mine. So I mean, it's really a fucking exciting and fun thing to do for me, even though I know I fuck with y'all a lot, and I, make jokes off air, and while we're on air,
and people think you're high all the time. So
people think I'm high, hate kids and shit, but it's really probably one of the few best times of my week, easily.
What about you, Zach? How passionate probably are you about film on a scale of 1 to 10?
For me, it's like, if I could do something in the film industry, I would. I mean, it's a perfect 10. I mean, and just every week it just varies. I mean, it could range anywhere. Like Ed is always we always give shit to Ed about, it's always a 7 or 8. But I mean, it just varies. I'm sure, like, I hated Halloween 3. That was an awful movie. But Ed didn't like North by Northwest, and so it just
or any of the
varies.
James Bond movies.
You're right.
But like for me, honestly, this was real talk, and this was to Valerie. How some people use books or books or music to just escape and get away. Movies are the same for me. You can probably lose all of your interest, and I'm going to use a line, Zach, you probably heard this from the HBO Max movies documentary thing. I think it was I can't remember who at the end said it. I think it was Alec Baldwin. But when you can take 2 hours and get lost in 2 hours and lose and throw away all your
bullshit.
your bullshit or your worries or your troubles or worrying about bills, when you can throw all that out the window and just get lost in a movie for 2 hours, like he said, and go back and listen to it, I think it's like a perfect thing. So that's what movie watching does for me, and
You're really pimping out CNN the movies.
and to sit here and to talk to you guys about it, that's just like the icing on top of the cake.
Absolutely.
I never would have thought in a million years that when we started this, I was like, 50, 60, I'm happy with that. To now over 5,000 downloads is completely insane.
Right, and that's the thing that I'm just kind of like when you told us those numbers and all that, because you're the one who gets to view those basically. I thought that was
Incredible.
fucking awesome. I was just like, damn, we've reached that so far. Like, hopefully this is the new norm, and we can this is a small plateau, and we get to bounce off of this one.
It'd be nice. Quentin says, what do you guys think of Croods 2 exclusively being on Apple TV? I do see that it's already on other streaming services and in theaters. Are you guys excited for this?
Not really.
I haven't seen the first Crude, so
It was okay. I think they waited way too long to actually release Croods 2.
yeah, because the first one came out
13 or
13?
12, somewhere
Yeah.
around there. And I mean, the first one was funny. It wasn't bad at all. It was a bunch of slapstick, kind of stupid comedy and stuff like that, but aimed more for kids and everything. It was all right, but
No,
like,
Johnny, you're shaking your head over there.
you're not fucking Finding Nemo. Like, just because you release a sequel 12 years later, about 6-7 years later, doesn't mean you're gonna hit it big again like Finding Nemo did with Finding Dory.
Or Incredibles 2.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
but that's again that you guys are kind of like, oh, I'm not going to call you a hypocrite, but that's almost hypocriting. Like, you can't compare DC to Marvel. I don't think it's fair to really compare anybody to Pixar, Disney. That's like the mountain of the mountains. You know what I mean? You can
Or like
Zombieland
and Zombieland 2.
you could take Minions and match it up against like a Disney Pixar movie, and it won't equal up. It's still a funny
Right.
movie.
But I do think it is a smart idea to release it on Apple because, I mean, honestly, a lot of people do have Apple phones and probably have Apple services. So,
I'm talking about Apple TV Plus. It's like
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
Well, yeah.
So
that's
you
what
can
I'm saying,
you can still watch it on like Xbox or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But I'm just
Right.
saying, like, I think it's a smart idea just because people go after the Apple services, so it'll probably be a little more popular just because of what it's being released.
As long as it gets a Blu-ray release.
That's all that matters.
Sean says, I love Christmas movies. My top 5 would be Christmas Vacation, Elf, Home Alone, White Christmas, and Polar Express.
Damn, okay.
Henry says, I personally think Wonder Woman 1 is way better than 1984, but I still think 1984 is decent. I would give it a 6.
I agree.
Um,
Well,
You-
except
you-
for the 6, I got the 8, but I do agree with that.
just finish that 6 and
I know,
make
right?
it. Sarah97 says, everyone talks about the best of the Christmas movies or the best time of Christmas season. What's the stuff that you guys hate about this time of year?
Personally, I don't enjoy the overdoneness of it all. Like, motherfuckers want to go ahead and not even wait for Halloween to pass and already have their fucking Christmas trees up, or they already start Christmas music in the fucking mall and shit like that 3 weeks before Thanksgiving and shit. Or like how and I hate to say it like this, but how cheery and poppy and bubbly the music is, but I will say on the other side of that coin, the biggest thing that I like to do is get to spend time with family. Yes, gifts are fun and the food is great, but the family is kind of the thing I like to go for. So
Crowds. I hate the crowds. And not only that, it's just I hate
mob
that, and I hate buying for people that all they want is money or something, but you're just trying to be nice and you can't find shit for them. You're just like, fuck this.
I mean, honestly, I will say, I do kind of hate the fact that people will literally celebrate Thanksgiving, go on the Black Friday, on a usual Black Friday, beat the shit out of each other for a fucking Hot Wheel, and then
That's just the commercialized of Black Friday. I've
That was a classic Hot Wheel.
yeah,
right?
that's
the fucking 1969 GTO, bro, with a fucking flame job. Okay,
and I honestly think some Black Fridays, to where maybe if there was no COVID and there was plenty of game systems to go around, I think that would have been a Black Friday like this year. But like, you honestly don't get Black Fridays like that unless it's like something like that. But if I had to pick a reason why I hated the holidays, or a reason that the holidays just isn't fun, it would probably be people gloating about or posting the pictures about like everybody always eating the same thing, like turkey this and turkey that. But the biggest thing would be I kind of hate the way people kind of act like it's all about
The gifts.
the gifts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, like I
Like
said,
I'm more of a like I kind of did with you guys. I'm more of the appreciation gag gift kind of thing. Like last week, as soon as you guys said I had never heard a Christmas story, I'm like, I know exactly what I'm getting you guys for Christmas.
well, I mean,
But as far as like there's some people out there that can't afford to get their kids whatever they wanted. Or hell, there's even some people out there that can't afford to get their kids,
a $5 toy.
a $5 toy. So I always feel like it's better just to
I mean, I feel that's why I like the family aspect of it. I mean, even the dinner or a lunch or whatever is a great thing, just because
there's some people that can't even afford to do that though.
Right? No. That's what I'm saying. I find that those two things to be the best of the aspect is just because,
So since we talk movies here and we're always about talking movies, if you guys don't have certain family members that you can see or want to see, or if you guys don't can't afford to go out and see certain people, or just need somebody to talk to, email the show, call the show at call us at 405-590-5711. Somebody's always going to answer, or shoot a text or voicemail or email, and we'll always respond to you.
what's the email again?
CINEMEN921@gmail.com. So Steven says, my all-time favorite Christmas movies are It's a Wonderful Life. It's so great. If you guys could recast George Bailey today, who would you recast him with? I said it, but I responded to the email, and he said he may be too old right now. But I responded with Tom Hanks. I think Tom Hanks could have knocked that character out of the park. But when I did my research, George Bailey, played by
James Stewart.
James Stewart, was 39 when they filmed It's a
Yeah.
Wonderful Life. Tom Hanks is already almost 70.
Damn.
In a weird way, I could maybe see Matt Damon doing it in a weird version of the story.
What about Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah.
Too
he'd
old
be
though?
good. No. I mean, he was like 50 by the time.
I mean, what if you kind of spun it around weirdly? And I know you're probably both going to give me fucking you dumbass stances on this. What about Kevin Hart? Make it a funny comedy.
Yeah, I could see.
I could kind of see that actually.
especially with especially if you turn around and make it funny instead of
Did you like that brief pause? It's like, oh, we're about
Yeah,
to cut
because I was
something
just
else.
like, I know, because literally once you said that, I was like, Kevin Hart might be a good thing. Like literally once you said it, I was like, Kevin Hart might be. It's like they're gonna think I'm a fucking idiot for this.
So that's a good one.
No different than usual though.
Sam G69 says, so what's your least favorite holiday films? If I could pick one, I would pick Christmas with the Cranks or the classic Christmas episodes like Rudolph. I honestly hate them and I think they're overrated.
Jingle All the Way, piece of shit.
Fuck you.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, motherfucking Double Time. All that bitch ass shit. Fuck that movie.
God damn.
Fuck that movie in a hole.
You know what we're doing next year?
Fuck that movie in a hole.
If I had to pick one, I would probably pick
with Lucille from The Walking Dead.
Honestly think the third Santa Claus is a little much. I don't think it's needed especially when you throw in Jack Frost and the Easter Bunny. I think it's kind of nasty.
What the fuck?
And then what about you, Zach?
Honestly, there's not been like.
I would have to agree with Christmas with the Cranks. That was pretty bad too.
There really hasn't been like.
Have you seen Deck the Halls with Danny DeVito and?
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, that'd be mine. That's pretty bad.
What's Matthew Broderick?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that would be mine.
Connie says, "What's the most memorable impact? What's the most memorable or impactful gift that you've ever received?"
A Christmas Story. No.
um, I mean, honestly, I don't remember a lot of different Christmases before I was 10 or 11. So it's a little hard to say for like really young years.
Probably mine would be I got a massive like 3-wheeled bicycle when I was really young.
Yeah.
Because partly I never really learned how to ride a bike. I do now, but when I was younger, they were just afraid of getting hurt and everything.
Yeah.
That one I had that bike. I just gave away that bike maybe about a month ago. It was really nice. Everyone wanted to ride it. It was awesome.
I would probably say the gift that started all this was one year I got a small TV, a VHS player, and Big Daddy on VHS. And that is literally what started this insane craze for movies.
So this may not have been a big impact at the time, but it grew, and I actually about 4 or 5 years lost it in a tornado accident. But when I was probably about 8 years old, somewhere around there, I got a boombox. One of those ones you could actually carry around. It had like the back plate for like 10 or 8D batteries and shit. Yeah. And it had a cassette player as well as a CD player and shit.
You blast an Eminem.
Over time, yeah, actually, yeah. But I had that thing probably from 99, 98 till 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. And if you remember a tornado, either F3 or F4 that ripped through I-35 a few years ago,
yeah,
I had a storage unit over off there, and I lost like my PlayStation 1 or original, my PS2, my PS3, my boombox, a bicycle, and all kinds of other shit. My original Harry Potter books too. I lost my original set of Harry Potter books in it and shit. So,
why were those in storage?
Well, at the time I didn't have. It was a lot of shit. It was a lot of shit. But yeah, that boombox, a lot of memories.
Larry says Wonder Woman 84 is the most wasteful DC movie I've ever seen. No long-lasting stories, nothing to get you hyped for the future, nothing about the DCEU it is in it. I would rather just watch Suicide Squad until I die. 4 stars. Jesus.
Dang.
God.
Terry says, my favorite Christmas song would be Anything by Michael Bublé. I love his Christmas album. Sergio says, Wonder Woman 84 was okay. Didn't feel like a DC movie at all. Pedro Pascal sucked ass as a villain. Kristen Wiig stood out. I really did like Kristen Wiig, but she, again, was kind of lagged. Wish Chris Pine had a better send-off. I would give it a 5.
Yeah, it's not a lot of good mixed reviews about this.
I would kind of I liked Chris Pine's send-off, but you just heard his last few words. I did wish the camera would have cut in front of him, and you kind of saw him say that, but I get why they did what they did. Zuri says top 5 Christmas movies would be Christmas Vacation, The Grinch from 2000, Home Alone, Lost in New York, Die Hard, and The Night Before. Another one from Sam G69, I'll go ahead and read, says, I liked Wonder Woman 1984. I thought it was different from everything else and a breath of fresh air. I would give Wonder Woman 8 stars.
Hey.
Let's see. Philly fan. Oh, this is fun to read after today's game. Philly fan. I personally feel like Tenet next week will be a fun episode to hear you guys talk about it. I just probably personally won't ever rewatch it again. Biggest disappointment of Nolan's career. Philly fan 1988.
Damn.
Okay.
And we're going to go ahead and send it off with Kendall because I liked this email. What are you guys most looking forward to in January? Any new movies? Or what kind of episodes would you want to talk about? or what kind of movies would you guys want to show each other that maybe somebody hasn't seen? I want to talk the Godfather trilogy this year, honestly.
Is it this year or next 2022 the 50th anniversary of the Godfather?
I'm not sure. I think it's 1972.
Okay.
I want to talk Godfather trilogy, especially with the Coda coming out. I want to talk all 6 Lord of the Ring films.
Hell yeah.
Especially, I mean, even though the Fellowship is its 20th anniversary in December, right?
Yeah.
Shit.
I want to, even though we're going to talk about Fellowship before December, I still think it would be, why not celebrate it by talking all 6 of them? And then I wouldn't mind touching some more Harry Potters, maybe. But honestly, the one thing that I want to get out of this upcoming year as far as this podcast goes is like in a recording studio. And then second of all, I want to get you guys like, I want to show you guys movies that maybe you haven't seen, but everybody's like, are you serious? You haven't seen that yet? Because I think there's a lot of movies like that for all 3 of us.
Yeah, I would agree.
Less you than us, though. So yeah.
What about okay? So I mean that's how I got it going on. What about I mean, anybody else have anything that they kind of want to get off your chest?
I just hope that all the films that we didn't get to see this year we get to see in 2021. Honestly, I mean whether it be going to a theater, streaming, whatever. I'd like to hit No Time to Die, which I know Ed you're not looking forward to. A Quiet Place Part 2. Godzilla vs. Kong, it's going to be, hopefully we get everything that we missed this year.
Coming to America, number 2.
Well, that's going to be on Prime. That starts
Amazon
streaming
Prime.
in Prime, so I think that'll be a good one. I love the original, so I think, sky's the limit for everybody here at this podcast. Everybody who's listening, I really appreciate everything that you guys have brought to us this year. Whether it be emails or just interaction, the giveaways. We have plenty more giveaways to just hand out. So please keep sending those emails and keep commenting, keep interacting, because 5,000 downloads is huge, and I just can't wait for the other 5,000 to hit.
Yeah.
So
that 5K was a big number for us, honestly. That plateau so far, that was really, really cool for us to hit. So we're thankful for all of you.
Hey, if we get to, by the end of 2021, we hit 20,000 downloads, we'll
be set.
Yeah.
So other than that, we don't forget next week we are talking Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Probably I would agree. Would you guys agree with me? The biggest film release of 2020.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Why not start off with a bang? Yeah. So why not start off 2021 with the biggest release of 2020? Maybe not at the box office, but it certainly was
very talked about,
very hyped, very talked about. I would say the most anticipated film of 2020.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I know this will be your first watch.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you think about it, and Zach, I'm excited to honestly see what you think about your rewatch.
Yeah, this will be my third time.
Third time. It. So this will be my third, but only once in theaters. So
that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and end my part and say, you know what? Hopefully we've had a good year with you folks. Hopefully you've had a good year with us. So I will say to all you beautiful ladies and you big bastards out there, have a beautiful New Year's. Hope you go into next year with fire under your ass and great expectations and hopes. So this is Ed saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It's been a really good year, even though overall the year was kind of horrible. But everyone have a safe and good New Year, and we'll see you in 2021.
Don't forget, guys, have a great, safe New Year. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for this year. On this last episode of 2020, don't forget to check out some great episodes, all of our archives. And don't forget to check out our beautiful sponsors this New Year's. Go check out Rodeo Cinema. Have a New Year's Eve dinner at San Marcos. And don't forget, next week we talk all about the Tenet right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, Monday, January the 4th, next week.